Hello again. As you can see, there's a somewhat different background from usual if you've been watching my previous videos, and that's because I've moved somewhere else. So I have a sort of office in which I can record videos, and I've got a new camera. Wow, it's a second-hand one, but it's a big improvement on what I had. And I bought a second-hand microphone as well. As a general rule, I like to buy things second-hand. I don't like to buy new stuff because it's just more manufacturing. Stuff that's already been made, staying in the economy and getting used again is a good idea in my opinion. But this isn't what this video is about. Yeah, preparing for the worst. Well, you know what? I've been saying for about 2 or 3 years now that there's a worldwide economic downturn, possibly a complete collapse coming. And, well, it's taken longer than I thought. Instead of falling off a cliff, it's more like a slow-motion train wreck. But if you're paying attention to what's actually going on, you can see that the world economy is on its knees, that many of the banks around the world are on their knees and on the point of collapsing. It's only that the general public doesn't realise how bad things actually are, that there aren't bank runs happening at the moment. Many of the central banks are in real trouble, and the governments that are sort of working with them again in big trouble. And a huge number of corporations around the world are in very, very serious trouble. And worse again, a lot of small businesses, they're really struggling to keep going because, with a downturn, people cut back and profit margins for small businesses are often smaller than for huge businesses. And it's difficult to compete. So, preparing for the worst. But part of my strategy is to support local businesses as much as possible. Wherever I can afford to do it, I go and buy from a local shop instead of off the big sort of internet chains. They don't care. Whereas if you go to a small shop, there's a chance you might get to know the shopkeeper or the staff, and they might help you out with something instead of waiting like 20 minutes to speak to some anonymous person on the phone, for customer support. You're just a number. They really don't care. And a lot of small businesses appreciate the support of local customers, and they get to know your face. They might even know your name. So it's good to be hopeful, hope for the best, be optimistic, but at the same time be realistic, because realistically things are going to get harder. The prices are going to continue to go up. The inflation that's already there in the system has not gone away. In fact, it's remaining quite high. So, when you jacked up prices and then you continue to inflate them more again, I went to the supermarket. I was going to buy some jam, which I remember used to cost about €2.53. It was a very nice French jam. It was €4.50, and I'm like, I'm not paying almost €5 for a pot of jam. Sorry, but probably better off going back to making my own, which I have done many times in the past. It'll be just as nice. Okay, some effort involved, but it'll cost very, very little to make that. And you can, if you know how to make jam properly, you can make it very high quality. So all these other things like storing firewood, having a larder filled with dry goods such as rice, pasta, lentils, noodles, etc. Not a bad idea. This stuff doesn't go off, and a lot of canned goods will last a long time, and glass jars as well if they're kept out of the sunlight. It all sounds a bit dramatic, but if things get really bad, if for some reason, say for instance you can't work and you don't get sick pay, at least you'll have food, you know. The wood supply, if you've got a fire or stove, very good idea to get stocked up on that. Good idea to grow your own vegetables. It saves a huge amount of money. If you've got a secure job, perhaps to stay in it, even if it's boring. If you have a very crappy job or one that's very insecure, think about finding something that's a bit more sustainable, a bit more reliable. Cutting costs, a very good idea. It's good to be self-sufficient, not just because we could be going into what could be the worst depression since the Great Depression of 1929. Many people are saying that was what is coming this year. Even if that's not the case, it's good to be self-sufficient. It's good to be self-reliant, And of course, being self-reliant as much as possible saves you a lot of money. So you can spend it on nice things. If you have money left over you don't need, that you didn't have to spend on expensive stuff, if things turn out not to be that bad, then you've got surplus money you can spend on a holiday or something nice for yourself. So it's a win-win situation, really, if you prepare for the worst. It's good to be hopeful. It's probably not a good idea to be too much of a doom and gloomer. I mean, I often highlight sort of horrible things that are going on behind the scenes, but I don't spend all day looking at bad news because it just makes you feel depressed. It's good to keep a finger on the pulse, to know what's going on, to keep an eye on things, but not to become obsessed with the news cycle, obsessed with the nefarious actions of, the shadowy cabal people, for want of a better word. You know who I mean. You know who I'm talking about, who these people are. And they don't have our interests at heart. In fact, quite the opposite. But, spending all day watching videos and listening to news about that isn't really very good for your mental health. So, we can do things to make our lives better. It's not utterly hopeless. So I'd suggest, be prepared. Be prepared for the worst case scenarios, but try and be hopeful and try and do something, whatever you can, to make life better. Stay cheerful. Try and make the best of a situation as much as you can. And, if you can maintain a positive state of mind, it makes it much easier to get through difficult situations. And it helps with resiliency. So there's many reasons to try to be hopeful, but without being unrealistic and foolish, of course. We have to be realistic about what could be coming down the road and whether it's going to be successfully implemented or not. I hope there will be a lot of resistance from the public to a lot of these horrible ideas which are in the pipeline for 2024 and 2025. But ultimately, each of us can only do what we can. We can try to be part of the change. But ultimately, we each have to look after ourselves and look after our future. So it's good to be prepared for all scenarios. So anyway, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to subscribe. I'd be very grateful for that, and I'm always grateful if people click the like button as well. That all helps. I appear to be shadow banned quite often, and the more people that share or like the video, the better it is. And I'm probably going to upload this onto other channels as well, because certain other ones such as Rumble don't mess with you if you talk about certain subjects, and you can be a lot more free. So this year I'm going to start doing some Rumble only videos as well. Okay, thanks for watching. That's it for now. Bye bye.